Hi guys, thanks for watching. This is Kelly with Cleanly Consumed and Kelly Cutzinger Coaching. Today we get the privilege of talking to Bobby Spencer with MaxGen Labs, and I met her a couple of years ago. Was it 3 years ago?
About two, just a little over 2
2 years
years.
ago. And we met in the Houston office and got more introduced to hear more about the company and where they were going, and the genesis of them creating this private genetic test. So I can't wait to hear more about it. I think a lot of it. I've done a lot of research on it and looked at your website, which is very user friendly and just packed with information. So just want to kind of hear a little bit about how the company came about and why you guys wanted to create this private genetic test.
Of course. So our testing was actually created by two practitioners themselves, Dr. Chad Yarborough and Dr. Haley Hurd. They came together and they were just as frustrated as a lot of people in public with what information they were getting back from different types of testing. The privacy issues that roped around that, the fact that it wasn't usable, it wasn't actionable, so it made it very difficult for them to go through those results, and they saw that frustration in the clients they were seeing. So that brought them to developing these wonderful panels to bring all of that genetic information in and be able to have it to be usable, to be understandable, to be something that somebody can look at and go, okay, this makes sense. This isn't just a bunch of jumbled numbers and letters and things that I have to figure out on my own. It's explained clearly, and it's something that I can use with my doctors to help on my journey, with health. The big thing is that we wanted to have something to help people on their journey to wellness. So they started in, I believe it was later in 2017. I came on board in January of 2018, and right at the very beginning when things were really getting up and running. So things have grown exponentially in 2 years. We have well over 400 practitioner accounts, and that's growing daily. I have quite a few more that came on this week. So that is growing. Practitioners are jumping on board. They're really excited about introducing it into their practices. We still have a lot of public purchases every day of the week that come through our website. So yeah, it's out there, and it's been great. The growth has been amazing, and I'm ready to share more.
Hey, well, I'm just always intrigued. So, okay, so we wanted to talk about how genetic testing can be useful and more powerful when compared to treatment without having that genetic background and that genetic information. So using genetic testing as a tool, let's talk about why it's good by itself, but how it's also good just as a resource tool for someone's complete health journey.
So we get that question a lot, like why do we need it? Why should we do this test? The reason why is because you're looking at your genetics as a blueprint. Everybody's blueprint is going to be different. Everyone is going to react differently to different triggers, whether it's environmental, foods, supplements, things like that. So when you know the blueprint, you know your predisposition to certain ailments or sensitivities to what we're up against in the day-to-day world, then you can take that and use those in an actionable way, whether it's adding in, micronutrient testing, gut testing, working with your practitioners to figure out food allergies. If you truly have these issues, then you have that basis to work
on. And also anxiety and stress.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I hear so many people they will ask that question, and I'll start asking them some other questions, and I like referring out to practitioners and that have genetic testing capability because
yes, we have a great section about neurotransmitters and how those can affect us, and those get a lot of questions, especially with kiddos that are on the spectrum or ADD or things like that the families are up against. Typically, it's one of those questions, let's look at neurotransmitters, what's going on, genetically, what they're predispositioned to, and that helps kind of guide what type of lab work to look at, what type of diets, what type of supplements to help with those issues ultimately. And we've had a lot of success with people coming back and saying, my child's completely different since we've done XYZ, since everybody's so different. We've had a lot of great success in that, and hearing these stories that come back to us.
That's encouraging. That's another added bonus about being in the industry, is that you do have these testimonials that are just really inspiring for everybody else. And you're right, everybody is different. I mean, we talked earlier, we have 3 and 4 kids, so we have 7 kids between us, and I have twins, so they're identically a lot alike. So, but my others, they're so different, and one diet's good for one. It's not that old school mindset of everybody needs to eat the same thing. It makes it easier for mom, but we all have different needs. You can kind of tweak it a little bit for everybody. So having that genetic, but the stress, it's funny because those genetic markers for stress, one practitioner likes to call one the mermaid gene. And so when you have these different genes, you can really understand, get a hold of your stress to help balance your body, to remind your body that you can heal from what your ultimate goal, and like whatever autoimmune or whatever illness that you're trying to heal from. Okay.
Exactly. And the crazy thing you mentioned, with us having so many kids or whatnot, it was because of my son that I actually came in to working with MaxGen. We were actually patients well before I was blessed with this job and working with practitioners and whatnot. My son, we ran the genetics, and we had crazy amount of issues with him that nobody could figure out. We've been to infectious disease, we've been to allergy, we've been to rheumatology, we've been to allergy, you name it, we've been to it. I think our last count was around 10 or 11 different specialists at one point within a year, because nobody could figure things out. Neurology even ran a full exome type genetic test on him, and nothing that would red flag in a medical term was an issue. And there were still questions. So I came across Dr. Hurd, I want to say 2017, maybe 2016. I can't remember. It's been so long. But she's like, let's just run this test. And I didn't know anything about it. And I'd already run genetics with the neurologist. So I was like, yeah, what do we have to lose at this point?
Right.
And of course, he has issues detoxing. He has MTHFR issues, the variants there. And then other SNPs.
Very common.
Yes, it's very common. Yeah. And then it was some of the other SNPs that made his MTHFR worse.
Right.
And, there were all these things, he showed the predisposition to having gluten intolerance, dairy issues. So all of these things played a part. Nobody else could tell me these things. Because then I had this in black and white.
You need a panel. Sometimes they'll get into where they test one thing and then they'll test another thing, and it's looking at the whole picture. And that's why I like how, just because you have MTHFR, and if you have one SNP instead of 2, well, maybe that one is a really big deal for you. So a clinician might not want to say, then that's not the problem, because that, along with one copy of something else.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So that's what I really loved about this testing before, I'm plugging them, but I'm not plugging them, because back then I was like, I finally have answers.
Right.
I have answers for my child. And within just a matter of weeks, we put him on a good supplement with methylated vitamins and the good folates. We, put him on vitamin C. I mean, we put him on a few different, it wasn't crazy. I mean, he showed tendencies to have deficiencies in vitamin A because of this test. And with labs, it matched up. And that was crazy. And nobody else could put these puzzle pieces together for us at that point. And within a few weeks, his speech exploded. His sensory issues went down. I mean, now he's almost 9. You would never know. Like, compared to how he was then and sick all the time, he had a horrible immune system, to now he's thriving, and it was because of this test.
Right.
That we just said, okay, let's do it. Let's do it and let's see what's happening. And sure enough, this was our last missing piece in all of the things that we did that really pushed him forward.
I have
So,
goosebumps
so
on
I'm
my
a
head.
huge proponent for it.
I have goosebumps on my head, like they kind of hurt.
Good.
And I'm crying on the inside, but I just, we're in professional mode here, so I'm going to cry later.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk later. We'll cry over it later.
I know. I mean, because moms, you will drive to the end of the earth. You don't,
Oh, yeah.
I tell sometimes a client, okay, well, they're in Dallas, and they're like, I don't care. I'm like, because we just want answers. And so that is such a blessing.
And that's exactly what this test became for us, was the answers we were missing. And, you know, we were trying to do everything else we knew to do at that point. And these gave us those little missing puzzle pieces at that point in time.
Yeah, you need a roadmap. Okay. So how, I believe it's a cheek swab. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's just
And
a simple cheek swab, just the inside of the cheek. It's a little preservative vial that comes in the kit. You break the swab off. I wish I had one with me. I could show you.
Yeah. I mean, I know what they're like. You know, I've swabbed all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But how sensitive and accurate?
So sensitivity, it's not the same for genetic testing as it is for something like if you're measuring metabolites or something in a diagnostic test. So the thing about this, especially the way that we test, we use very little DNA, very small amounts of cells to be able to get the information that we get. So that's why we use the buccal swabs, where it's just a quick, easy cheek swab, and that's why we have newborns doing it, elderly doing it. It's super easy.
Not invasive, and they don't have to go to
no blood draws,
Yeah.
no trauma, no nothing. It's just quick and easy. It's a few seconds in the mouth. You stick it in, you put it in the box, and you send it off.
Right.
Now, you know, as far as accuracy, we use a type of testing, genotyping, that's called mass spec. It's been around for, you know, hundreds of years, or not hundreds of decades, over 100 years, I'm sorry. And it's been very successful. With the way that we look at things, we're looking at very focused SNPs on these tests. So it's really the most cost-effective way, and it's a quick method. So it's very accurate because we're looking at such a small amount of SNPs on our tests that are very focused. Now, in comparison, and I'm sure you probably get this, you know, well, 23andMe and Ancestry, you know, test thousands and thousands of SNPs. I want that, and it's cheaper. Well, the issue with that is, yes, you're looking at thousands and thousands of SNPs. You're looking at things that honestly, most of them are not even relevant. They're not anything that you really want information on, or there may not even be research.
Right. I think some of the things it tests on are, I'm not saying genetic SNPs, but genetic tendencies, what type of earwax, or if you're a sprinter or a fast runner or not. I think that people that are really looking for answers are looking for,
they're looking for more specific bits of information. Yeah.
And then I know that people can buy those test kits like in Walgreens, but I think what they don't understand is they pay that amount at Walgreens, and then they have to go and actually buy the test online, and then have it mailed to them and then ship it back out. And they're really not, they're getting information that's not private. So we're going to talk a little bit about privacy.
Of course. So privacy is the big thing. That is our stickler. We are a private company. We don't sell off the data. We don't do anything with the data other than run it, print your report, and send it off to you. We destroy the sample within a small amount of time of actually running and having a successful run on that sample. So the lab does destroy all of that. So there's not a little refrigerator full of people's swabs anywhere. They're destroyed. They use a certain type of bleach solution that breaks it down and disposes of it. Within our system and our logs, we obviously generate the reports. We have had many people send us an email and let us know, hey, completely delete everything you have on me that's connected to this vial number. And we do it. With the understanding that they need to understand that we could never print another report for them.
Right.
The information that they send in on their requisition forms with their name, their email is never cross-combined in the lab with their vial. So the lab only sees the vial and the DNA. They don't know who it belongs to on the other end. Just those of us that are sending those reports out, we send them out. And if they want them destroyed, we destroy it, as far as the, data in the little spreadsheet that makes the report. If they want that gone, it's gone. We have no issue doing that. We don't do anything with it. We do purge the system every so often, because eventually there's too much in there.
Right.
So it does get purged.
Right. I think if somebody were to contact you guys a year later and say, I need another copy of my information.
Yeah. And at that point, depending on how long the time frame goes,
you would just do another test.
Yeah, you would have to do another one, because at that point we may not have that information anymore.
And that's good. That's why, that's, it's private. So.
Yeah, and we're not interested in selling it off to the highest bidder like some other companies. We are in the business to help people. That is the bottom line. We want people to have the information to take action with their health, with their practitioners, or on their own, and just really be able to get out there and do good for themselves. And that's the bottom line. That's our basis for having this test.
Yes, I love the mission of the privacy and the guidance. Okay, so we are going to talk about the different tests. So within MaxGen Labs, you have, sometimes people might just think of like genetic SNPs just for health and wellness, but not necessarily the way that you've broken it down. I think it's very usable information, the supplementation, the food guidance. So I think you have, is it 4 tests plus like a package of all of them?
So yes, so we newly added the Max Cannabis test for those that are CBD, THC, medicinal use types of users that really wanted to see how that breaks down in their system and how they metabolize. We have the Max Food, which is looking at a variety of vitamins. We're looking at food, weight loss, weight issues. That's a great test for that.
Yeah.
Our Max Function, which is a pretty big one. It's typically what families with kiddos on the spectrum will order. That's looking at neurotransmitters. That's looking more in depth in some of the vitamins, B vitamins, toxins, how we detox. Then we have our Max Fitness, which obviously that's looking at more, which type of workout works best for you, cardio markers that might play a part in those fitness issues. And then we have a combination of Max Food, Max Fitness, and Max Function. So that's what we call the Works panel.
Right.
And that's typically where everybody goes because they want as much information as they can get.
Right.
And that's typically the one that gets ordered. We have a lot of practitioners that order that and stick to that. And the reports itself, are going to break down, you have this tendency, let's look at this lab test. Maybe you'll need more vitamin C, maybe you'll need, methylated B12, maybe you don't do good with methylated B12, maybe you need an adenosyl or a hydroxy form of B12. So
people do not realize, like, I'm going to probably get this wrong, but there's like 9 different kinds of certain types of supplements, several different kinds of iron, several different kinds of 9 kinds of magnesium.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
There's people don't understand that, and they think, oh, well, this looks like a good one, I'll just take this. And then they're like, well, why am I anxious? Why am I irritable? Why? Well, those methylated vitamins are good for most people, but you may not be one of them.
Right.
So that's why we break it down to where, if you do have some form of methyl sensitivity, maybe these versions would be better for you. And that's we try to put as much information out there as we could for direct to consumers, but that's also where we try to reiterate in the report, please work with a practitioner that's knowledgeable. Whether they already have one and they're going to take the test to them, if they need help finding one. I know you network with a lot of practitioners as well. So, there's avenues that they can go about to find practitioners that are knowledgeable in this type of information to help them through that.
Right. It's not Greek to them.
Yes, exactly.
That's one of the big, the comments that I get from people are, I'm too scared, because it's kind of like you're afraid to go to the dentist because you don't want to get dermal again. But you're too scared. But know that you can calm down those genetic steps, like we were talking about with genetics and with supplementation support, knowing what supplements and foods to start with, and silencing and calming down those genetic expressions. And maybe that one genetic expression combined with another one is what will help your body kind of reset and be able to work the way that it was designed to.
Be able to metabolize those things properly, and be on a better track that way.
Okay, so talking about consultations and understanding, because we talked, they say too expensive, but your tests start at $179 for the individual test, and that's just current pricing. That's going to,
yes,
that could always change, but so I mean, I think that that's very affordable. I know that you have a discount on the Works package, combining all those, those tests together. So you can add on an additional consultation, or we can do a search and find a practitioner in the area that has been trained and gone through modules and has a good understanding and interpretation of the test. You can log on to the MaxGen Labs website, and I'm going to put that link down below in the description.
Perfect.
I love that you guys, for the general public, or users, can go to the website and go through the 11 lesson module on how to read a MaxGen lab report. In the lab report, there's an example on the website that is very user friendly. It also looks very attractive, so it's very inviting. And
we're glad to hear that.
You what?
I said we're glad to hear that. That's we want to make it user friendly, and it's a lot of information on those tests. So that was the biggest thing, is making it user friendly and easy to read, easy to follow.
Oh yeah, I thought it was very positive, and the wording was great. You want to be encouraged and inspired on your journey, and so I thought it was very welcoming. And then I'm going to put the website below, but it's MaxGen Labs. Okay.
MaxGen Labs. Yes.
And then go through a practitioner that has completed the training. So we talked about that. They have a very good understanding. Okay. And I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything. Educated consumers. Okay. And patients are key. Personal advocacy and accountability are vital. We talked about, we both have had our own personal health journey, or for our children. And so we had this rude awakening into becoming an advocate at birth for our kids. And so that's not in the parent handbook. That's not necessarily what you signed up for.
Exactly.
It's a learned skill. Like, you have to learn advocacy and a shift in mindset. It's not the doctor's job. It's not the MD's job. They were trained in an area. Every single person is different. It's about really becoming a clean consumer, an educated consumer, and an advocate, all wrapped into one.
Yep. Exactly. And it's your personal work that you put in, whether for yourself or for your children. The practitioners, the consultants, anybody you work with, they're there to give you the information, the education, but ultimately it is us. And for the children, we have to be the ones to put all those things into place and really start working through those tips and that education to get us to our best life. And a lot of people think, oh, well, they're just going to give me, supplements. They're going to tell me to do this. They come back in a few months. They're like, well, nothing has changed.
Well, have you taken yours?
Have you done, steps A, B, and C yet? Well, no, I've only done this, or I've only done partially, this. Well, there's a process to it. We didn't get unhealthy overnight.
Right.
This was something that was progressive. So it's going to take time to get all of these symptoms to go away, to, feel better. I mean, it's taken me over a year to feel somewhat functional. I was dealing with autoimmune issues. I was dealing with food sensitivities. Being in nutrition myself, this has been a huge journey just for myself, not just working for my kids and advocating for them. I finally figured out, hey, I'm right on the same path with a lot of these people we talk to.
Right.
And, it's not an overnight problem solver.
So what I have found, in my network and people like you and I, are that we've had our own personal health journey, so we can relate, and we fall off the wagon sometimes, and we'll go to dinner and we'll eat or drink something that we know we shouldn't, but we also know we can go home and take the supplements that we need, get extra rest, dry brush, Epsom salt bath, and red sauna. I mean, not that the standard, not that everybody in the public is going to do the things, but
everybody's like, what's that?
We fall off the wagon too. And I mean, no one's perfect. Everyone's on a health journey. No one's in perfect health. It's hard. We are in this society where everything is instant gratification.
Absolutely.
Give me a shot, give me an antibiotic. Not that there's never a use for antibiotics, but we're used to that. I mean, from the 60s, 70s, on, it's
Yeah.
just been more convenience foods. Everything's been,
Yeah.
and it takes time. It's the peeling layers of the onion, and clients and patients do not want to hear the peeling layers of the onion. They want to chop it.
They just want to chop it and be there.
And get to the heart. So, so encouraging people and creating a village, having resources like genetic testing. But
Absolutely.
I know for me, I'm constantly learning and doing things, and I love my business, and just like you love what you do, because you're constantly learning for yourself and your family. And it is a constant journey. We're aging.
Oh yeah.
It's my new thing. I'm really into that. Okay. And so I talked about how your company is based out of Houston,
Yes.
but you have practitioners all over, and virtual. You can do a virtual appointment. So
yeah, so we have practitioners all over the U.S. We have a couple in the U.K. We have some in Canada. We really are growing just rapidly with the practitioners. So we do have some, if there are clients that are looking for somebody that are closer to them, we can try to track somebody down, if as far as, what they offer, if they do virtual visits versus in-person visits, we can figure that out and help them out with those things. They can always contact us either through the website. We have a customer service link, help@maxgenlabs.com. They can always shoot us an email, say, hey, I'm looking for a practitioner that offers this in my area. If we can't find one in that city, we can try to find one as close as possible. And something that we are working on this year is going to be a practitioner directory. So we will have that up and running hopefully within the next couple of months or so, once we figure out all the logistics, because we want to make sure the practitioners are well trained. We want them to be well aware of how our testing works, and be able to give that education to the clients. So that is something that's going to be up and running. And we're coming with more training, more education will be listed on that tab that you talked about earlier with the videos, with the little modules. There are more coming, so sit tight for those. So we'll have some more of those out there as well, to help with the reading of the test, just helping with that. And worst case scenario, if people have any questions specifically about the genetics, they can contact customer service. And we definitely we answer all of our emails, all of our calls. So it's definitely yeah, it's just got to contact us, give us those questions. We can help try to guide them where they need to go and who they need to see, and go from there.
I really I know before, when I was starting my health journey, I wasn't as open to virtual appointments. And I felt like you were paying for a practitioner, that you were supposed to go see them in person. And I'm a huge fan of virtual appointments.
Yes.
You don't have to find a parking spot. It takes less time. They don't
stay home.
They don't physically touch you. I know if it's an MD using it that takes insurance, you do have an initial appointment, and then you see them annually for an appointment. But virtual is so much easier and more time and encouraging, and keeps you on track. So I love that you guys do that. Now, if somebody wants to order a kit, we can have the link below for an individual to order. And if you're a practitioner that's wanting to add this to your practice, I can put you in contact with Bobby, and I'm happy to connect any clients for you guys, and really walk them through all the steps to encourage them to understand the reasonings and the benefits of genetic testing and the healthy lifestyle. And they don't have to go all in and do all of it at one time. They can make small changes, and have the genetics as an outline, and make small changes, and they will see the gradual upside of peeling the layers to find their health.
Small steps are still steps. It's still progress. So that's the ultimate thing. It's the baby steps that add up over time. So just got to take that first one to that journey, and they're on the right track.
So you can take it from us that we feel a lot better than we did when we started our journey, and our children are doing much better than when we started the journey. So
amen to that.
There's testimonials right there. So thanks so much for joining us. And Bobby, I'll talk to you in just a little bit. And
Awesome.
thanks so much. And hopefully you can join us another time and we can take another approach to, and when you have some other additions to your testing, would love to hear about that. So thanks
Absolutely.
so much for watching, everyone. And we'll see you next time.